Okay, so welcome to the Rockwall Mustangs 2026 interest meeting. And what I have here is a document that we want to go through and talk about everything, with our club and introduce you to the club, answer as many questions as possible. We do have a chat feature here in the Zoom, so if something comes up while I'm doing the presentation, you're welcome to type a message in, and one of our coaches will kind of monitor that chat and jump in as needed to answer questions. So, just to tell you a little bit about the club, um, we started in 2005, and our founding coach was Barrett Hopper, and he was just a local community member. He was very much into distance running, so he had the Rockwall Running Club, and then he started the Rockwall Mustangs Track Club for youth athletes to participate in track and field as well. He was uh, a big track and field individual his entire life. He ran at Emily. You might want to correct me. University of North Carolina, Charlotte, I believe. Um, so
I think
that's
that's
who that's
right.
who founded our club. Okay. Um, and then I came to the club when my son was running in 2009. And I was so active with my son that the other coaches that were helping with the sprints, my son was a sprinter. The other coach was like, "You should come coach with us." And so I came on, and then about 3 years after that, I took over as head coach. Coach Barrett got a job out of town, so when he left, the three of us were kind of managing the club together, and then the other two coaches, they were coach dads just like me, and their kids got interested in other stuff. One of those kids ended up playing in the National Football League, so I think he made a good choice with leaving track and field behind. But after those two left, then I took over as head coach. So I've been head coach since that amount of time. So what I want to do now is go down the list real quick. I told you about myself. I'm a retired firefighter. I worked for the city of Garland for 25 years and retired in 2019. Now I do commercial furniture sales and I coach Rockwall Mustang Track Club. That's pretty much what I do in a nutshell. I put everybody in order here, and y'all can jump in. I know that a couple of the coaches are not going to be here. They weren't available tonight because they had some other events with the kids that are in their lives. So we'll go ahead and start with Coach Robert, if he's here. All right, Coach Emily.
Hi, I'm Coach Emily. I coach our distance runners. And so my group has grown quite a bit in the last few years, which is really exciting and fun to see. I think my family has been involved with the Mustangs for about 6 years now. Um, Coach Chris can correct me if I'm wrong on that, but I think it's been about 6 years. And then I've been coaching for the last, I don't know, like 2 or 3. I don't know. It might be 3, but yeah, I have 3 kids that run for the club, and he mentioned our Mustangs family, and it really is our running Mustangs family. Um, I actually used to train myself with Coach Barrett, who started the club years and years ago, and my kids were really young for marathons and half marathons. So it's kind of cool that we have that connection. As far as I used to train under him and run with him, and now my kids run for the Mustangs and have for several years. So I'm excited. I have um, really littles all the way up to high school seniors that run distance for us. And I love working with all different ages and teaching them what they can do and how they can push themselves in ways that they had no idea that their bodies could do those things. So we're excited for everyone to come out.
Thank you very much. And Coach James, are you logged on? Okay. I know Coach Shar, she's had a school event to go to, as well as Coach Faye. Coach Candace?
Good evening. I'm Coach Candace. I help to support the throwers and the weights portion of the track and field club. I've been able to be with the club for a couple of years now because my kiddos have participated, and we have such great leadership and such a great coaching staff with Coach Chris and all the others. And so excited to be able to help support in any way that I can. And again, we have a phenomenal coach family, a track family here. And please don't hesitate if you have any questions or if you're wondering whether or not this is the place for you. There is a place for everyone here with the Rockwall Mustangs, and we'll be able to hopefully find and identify where your child fits best and allow them to meet the most of their potential.
Thank you, Coach Candace. Is Coach Blake in the room?
Yes, I'm
Okay.
in here.
Oh, there you go. Okay, I can't see everybody. It's not showing
Yeah.
because I got two different screen set. Go ahead, man.
Yeah, Coach Brian, I'm a full-time college football coach, and my kids have been doing Mustang track for almost 5 years. My two oldest ran track. My middle child is actually in college right now running track, thanks to what she's learned from Coach Chris. Uh, I work with the throwers and day-to-day stuff. If you ever need anything, holler at me. I'm always open.
All right, thank you, Coach Blake. So that's our crew there. And just for y'all to know, coaches, we have a parent that's already reached out that's interested in joining our ranks. So we might have some more help coming our way. So that's always exciting. And with that said, if you have any experience in track and field or just an interest in learning about it, getting more in depth, that's how I got into it. I didn't really, I was a basketball player growing up. And with my son running, I just started, becoming a student of the game so I could help him to be better. And all of a sudden, he became elite, based on the things that I learned and started teaching him. So, like I said, after it's been 16 years now coaching track and field, I think I know a little something about how to help these athletes get better, and also certified by USATF. So we will go on this portion of the presentation. So this is the basic breakdown of the system. I mean, of the season. So we use an app for communication. It's called Stack Team App, and basically that is just a point that we can all log in, and only our teammates are able to be in there. All information gets sent out through there. And what I want to do is go in just to a blank page right now and show you what that looks like. So give me just a second. See if I can remember how to do this. Share. And then I'm going to choose this. All right, is everyone able to see the screen?
Yes.
Okay, great. So a couple of things now. Of course, this is from a laptop instead of a phone, but everything is pretty much the same. So if you see here, like if you're just directing somebody to come to our page, the website is rockwallmustangs.club, and that will get you to this landing page. And then just the general information is right here. You see where it says click here, welcome. If you tap that, even on your phone, if you tap that, it'll open up this little blurb that just kind of gives an overview of who we are, when we work out, who can participate, and where we work out. All those things are right there. Just real quick, as you see that there is Get Android app and Get iPhone app. Either one of those should both show up on your phone. I don't know if you may need to scroll to the side, but it should just have a little button up there. And then also at the top right on your phone screen as well as your laptop, you will see Join. So when you click Join, give it just a second. There we go. It's going to ask you what kind of information do you want to use to sign up. The easiest that I see is just to use Google, but you can use your Apple if you want to. The one thing I will say about Apple is that it creates like a dummy email address that's going to be on your profile. So we'll have to go back and you have to go back and correct that when you sign in um, once you're approved. So basically, I recommend Google. If you don't have Google, then you can use Apple or use your Facebook account. But Google is easiest because it keeps everybody's information correct from the very beginning. Let me see if I can go back one page. There we go. All right, the other thing I wanted to show you is we do have a chat feature, and well, I'm not logged in, so it's probably not going to show me anything right now. And then we have the news page. And so the only thing you can see on the news page when you're not a member is anything that I make public or that coach posts that makes it public. So that's the things that you're able to see right now. Whenever you're a member and you're an approved member and logged in, then you'll be able to see everything. And like the chat feature will open up the schedule, it'll open up the gallery. I don't think the gallery is public. Let me see, try that right quick. Oh yeah, we did have the parts of the gallery public. So anyway, that's the app that we use. The store is turned off right now. You wouldn't be able to see it because I'm not logged in anyway. But whenever we do the signups, you'll actually go into what's called registration and gear tab. And it'll be up at the top, just like this. And that's where you actually do your sign up for your athlete. So I just wanted to show real quick. Again, the join button is what you want to do. And then you want to install the app first. And then if you're just using a laptop, you can always go to Rockwall Mustangs Club. It's going to take you to the same landing page. Okay. So I can stop sharing there. And now we're back live. Sorry about that. All right. So let me, here we go. Get back to right where I was. All right. So like I said, that's how we use the Stack Team app. Now, for membership fee, the fee is $300. And that's going to be for your first or only athlete. If you only have one athlete in your family, then it'll be the $300 for that one athlete. And every additional athlete, every sibling, or every other child in your family will be 175. So we give it's a $125 discount that we give, and just to try to help with not being so costly. Like if you have a family of four and you want everybody to participate, then that can be, a pretty big chunk of change. So that's why we try to do that, just to offer a discount. The sign up cutoff is going to be May 5th. And we base that on two things. Number one, as you see, there's for non high school athletes. Our qualifier meet is going to be on June 4th, which we'll get to that in a minute. And so what that does, it gives 1 month of training, and that's kind of what our fee is based off of. It's 3 times a week and 4 weeks, and it comes out to, I think it's $35 a practice or something like that. Maybe $30 a practice is the way that we work that out. So that's going to be the cutoff date for non-high school athletes, because that gives them 1 month to train and still participate or still be able to compete in the district qualifier meet and district championship. And then for high school kids, because the school track season is going pretty late this year, we will, talk with individual athletes that want to come to the team and see like when is their school going to be wrapping up, and when can they start coming to train, because if it's going to be too late, then it may not be beneficial for them to go ahead and come in. But with that said, they're going to be in the championship part of the school track season anyway, so they should be in pretty good shape and be able to jump in with us. So we'll kind of handle that on a case by case basis. And then signing up, any athlete is allowed to come to 3 practices just to come see what it's about, see what we're doing, and then they can make a decision whether or not they want to join. And we're going to be a little bit more stringent about keeping track of that this year, because sometimes we have kids that, they continue to come and they're having a good time, but they haven't completely decided they want to sign up. And so we're going to make sure that we, reach out to the parents and get a, just a yes or no, because we don't want an athlete coming out and, number one, don't want an injury to happen and they're not covered by our insurance. Number two, we spend a lot of time and effort in engaging to these kids. And then if they just decide, oh, well, I'm done, I'm bored with it now, then, that's kind of part of the reason that we do that. So anytime that you have any questions, I'm always open. You can always reach out to me about anything. If there's something about the training that you have a question about, you can always reach out to me about that. Or if you have a weird schedule, we work with kids that, some of them just want to come out for speed work. And so they play another sport. We don't ask you to specialize. We know that I want my kids to be well-rounded. And of course, the education part comes first. So if your athlete is not excelling or holding their own, in their classes, that's going to be something that we need to talk about as far as how much time are they dedicating to track? Do they need to be dedicating more to studying? We don't have a tutorial arm of the club yet, but that's something that is an aspiration, because we all want the kids to be student athletes in that order. So, with that said, any kind of weird schedules that we need to work out, we can always be flexible with you. All we say is that how much you get out is what you put in. So, if you are going to be balancing other sports and other activities, then that's fine. It's just you may not expect to see as many gains as an athlete that's here every day, training every week and getting as much work in as they possibly can. Okay. So our first practice will be Monday, the 16th of this month. So that's next Monday. We practice on Mondays, Tuesdays, and Thursdays from 6 to 7:30 p.m. And we practice at Heath High School. And here's the thing about practice. Heath is kind enough to let us work out there for free. And what comes with that is we have to be flexible in that when they have something that is on the schedule, whether it be a school event or another organization has rented the facility, then we have to be flexible and we have to move sometimes. And we will go over to Kane Middle School oftentimes. Sometimes we will just go over to the other side of the school and use the field and do conditioning type training. But it's part of a way that we keep our club affordable compared to some other sports. There are some sports that they're paying well over $1,000 per athlete, but that allows them to pay tens of thousands of dollars to rent a field that's dedicated to them for the duration of their season. That's not something that we've needed to do. It's not something that I want to get into. So we just ask that if you're new to the club, know that going in, you do have to be flexible at times, and that's why we have Team App. As long as you have your notifications turned on, you'll get an email and you'll get something to your phone that tells you something has changed. If a storm comes in, then we have apps that if there is lightning within 5 miles of the track, then we have to go on a 20-minute lightning break. And as long as there's no more lightning strikes within that 20-minute time, then we can resume workouts or we can come out to the field. But that's just a standard that they do at track meets as well. Whenever inclement weather comes through, anytime there's a lightning strike within 5 miles of the location that you're outside, you have to stop. You have to go into some kind of cover. Usually your car, until there are no more lightning strikes within the 20-minute time frame. Then we'll come back out and get back out to working out. Okay? So that's everything about membership and the season. Now, when I say, well, not everything about the season, but important dates. So we go to track meets and they'll start around the end of April. Track meets are almost always on Saturdays. Every now and then there'll be one on a Friday, but it's usually comes some kind of special event where not all of the track meet is offered. It'll be specific events, it may be all relays only, it may be all distance only. But when those meets come, we'll let you know. And like I said, they start at the end of April. We don't run every weekend. And we do that on purpose. Number one, just to give ourselves breaks sometimes, but also if there aren't very many meets being offered, it's not like other leagues to where you can see the entire season all laid out from day one. It just doesn't work that way because we don't know yet what clubs are going to be offering track meets and then when they offer track meets because they have to get the agreements to host the meet. They have to find the track. And so that takes contracts with the athletic directors wherever they are, and all those things that are involved with that. So it's a little bit flexible in what meets we go to, but like I said, they do start towards the end of April, and then we will pick and choose throughout all of May, what meets we go to, and then like I said, the district meet will be on June 4th. So that's where we come into our important dates. The district meet will be June 4th through 7th. So depending on what events your athlete competes in, they will need to be there on certain days. And we will have that schedule as soon as Amateur Athletic Union puts it out. And that's one thing I forgot to mention. There are two different circuits that you can run in the DFW area. One is USA Track and Field, the other is AAU, or Amateur Athletic Union. And we choose to run with AAU because up until high school, they have 1 year age increments. So what that means is if you have a child that's born in January of 2015, they will only run against other athletes that were born in 2015. Whereas in USA Track and Field, you could have a January 2015 running against a December 2016, so almost 2 years gap, but that's the same age division. So I feel like it's more beneficial for our athletes to only have that 12-month possibility of an age gap rather than running against somebody that's almost 2 years older and about to turn, the next age. So that's just why we decided to do that. The other thing is that right now, USA is to me is going through a little bit of a flux as far as their leadership for our region, and AAU, their scheduling is just a lot better. They have everything in place because they have not changed their leadership in probably 20 years. And so that's another reason, because I like the way that they're set up. I like the way that they do what they do, how they run their meets. And so that's why we're going with AAU. The last thing is that we'll get what we get to as far as the national championship. So the way that it'll work, you'll run in the district meet. The top 16 in each event will advance to the regional championship or the regional meet. Okay. In the regional meet, the top five in each event will advance to Junior Olympics. Okay. So that gives a chance to actually make it to the big national stage. So Junior Olympics will be June 29th through August 8th. It's going to be at Drake University in Des Moines, Iowa. And we've had several athletes over the last few years that make it to Junior Olympics and actually do really well. And so one thing about that is the USA Junior Olympics was going to be in LA this year. And number one, there's a ton of track clubs out there, so it's probably going to be crowded with the local clubs anyway. Because when you have a Junior Olympics close, everybody tries to go. Just like last year or a couple of years ago, we were in Houston, so we tried to take as many kids down there. We were in Texas A&M another time, tried to take as many kids down there as possible. So that's one thing, is that I feel like it's going to be really crowded out there in California, and then the traffic and all that stuff. I think that's going to be an expensive trip, basically. Coach Emily has taken her daughter to Des Moines before and ran there, and they had a great experience, and it was just the two of them, and she felt safe. And so I feel like it's a good facility. It was run well by AAU. So that was why we made that decision. So with all that said, I know this is summertime, and like we said, we're not stringent. However, if you're planning when to plan your family trips and when you're going to be out of town, these are the dates that you want to avoid, because we need to train, we need to be ready, and then your athlete's going to compete on whatever day their event is, and then you're done, at least for that period of time from June 7th until June 24th. Now, we don't want you to go off to Barbados and stay for 2 weeks, then it comes back out of shape. But we know that you do have family activities in the summertime, so we try to respect that, give you these dates up front so that you'll know when you need to be available and have your athlete available. Okay. And I will go on to the next. So here's just a few things, just like good to know information. So as far as tryouts and event identification, we're going to try to work in a skills day sometime soon in the beginning of our training season. So what that's going to do is a couple of things. Help us identify who's more likely to be a sprinter, who's more likely to be a distance or middle distance runner. Now, we get it when your athlete comes to us and they've never run track before, or just based on what you think, they play soccer, they play football, basketball, whatever, and they seem pretty fast. We're going to check them out and we're going to look. And then we're going to make a decision or make a recommendation. Now, with those recommendations, if you don't want to take it, that's fine. And we'll put them in the events that you like. But if we see that there's a potential to do something in particular, then we're going to try to push in that direction. With field events, a lot of times we haven't had an identification period. So we didn't know certain athletes were interested in doing long jump or interested in doing shot put, or there's called a turbo javelin. It's a little plastic javelin that young athletes can throw. So we hadn't tried that out. So that's something that we want to introduce this year so that we can get our kids doing field events early. Um, Now, with all that said, in regards to events, one thing, if you're new to track and field, understand that it's an all day event that parents wait 30 seconds, 12 seconds to 5 minutes to watch their kid perform. Okay. So they run on a rolling schedule, which means they'll start and they have the list of events, so you'll know the order of events. However, you don't know exactly when that event is going to hit. So we'll ask you to be there earlier and bring your chairs, and we set up tents and refreshments and things like that, because it's going to be an all day event. And then your athlete is going to get up and go warm up, and they're going to go run, and they're going to run for 15 seconds. They're going to come back and sit down for 2 hours, and then they're going to get up and they're going to warm up, and they're going to go run for 30 seconds, a different event. They're going to come back and sit down for 2 hours. So that's how the day goes. And I know it sounds kind of weird, like I said, if you're new to track and field, but those of you know, you know. And like I said, we are a little family, and so we enjoy our time that we spend on these Saturdays together. But that's part of what it is. Okay. Now, we want to do a fundraiser. We did one 2 years ago, and it went really well. And we didn't do it last year just because there was a lot of stuff in flux. And I really wish we had, because we have even more athletes that qualify to go to Junior Olympics. So the use of the fundraiser is going to be for mainly that, to provide some assistance to the families that make it to the Junior Olympics for their athletes' travel. And so we try to help out in that regard, and then also to help out with coaches travel. And so we're getting a huge crew of coaches now, and we want to make it available that all of our coaches can go to that national stage event. Junior Olympics is amazing. There's thousands and thousands of athletes there, and you see records being broken that will stand for sometimes the next 10, 15 years. You never know. But being in that environment, I mean, they call it the Junior Olympics for a reason. It is a high prestige event. And so if we do the fundraiser, that will allow for us to provide assistance for those kids to go, and also for the coaches to go, and then also to get more equipment for our crew, for our practices and things like that. The two that we're looking at right now, we used a school funder the last time, and it went really well. Basically, it's very similar to what a lot of high schools are using right now, where each athlete has a list of people they're going to text, and you send out the text message. There's a link in the text message, and that's how you donate. There's nothing to handle. There's nothing to sell. There's no spiel, nothing at all. It's pretty much straightforward. You upload a list, and then the system will send them all out, and that's how you generate funds. And it did okay. We didn't have as many people participate as we would like, but it did okay. Um, One of the other ones that we know that is a good one, and some of our athletes that are in other sports have used it, is Double Good, and it's the popcorn. I think it comes out of Chicago, maybe. Um, that one generates, a lot of funds, and also it's a good product. And again, there's nothing you have to do except send the link out. They go online, they order it, and it gets shipped directly to their house. So it kind of takes you out of the loop as far as having to do a lot of extra work. So we're open to suggestions. If anybody knows any other good fundraisers that we might be able to do, we'd like to hear those suggestions, because we want to make sure that it's something that's going to, do well, but also we don't want to reinvent the wheel. If there's something out there that's good that works, then we're open to looking at it. Okay, so we implemented a new part of our club last year, and it's a community activity. And the one that we did is feed my starving children. So when you're seeing me on my video, that picture in the back is when we went to that event, and it's over in Richardson, and it's an organization that they build meals that are going to be sent overseas to less fortunate children, and they go all over the world. And basically, it's a fun competitive environment, because it won't just be our group there. There'll be other groups there that are doing the same thing, but we compete against each other and see how many bags we can make, and and make sure that we got the right weight inside of the bag, and so it's an assembly line. But it was great. It was really rewarding. And then we actually got an email later on to say, hey, your meals that you made arrived in, I can't remember where it was, Guatemala, I think, somewhere like that. But they let us know that the food arrived, and we were a part of that. And so that's one thing that we want everybody to understand is, again, we are our family, and we are our community. We have kids from Rockwall, Heath, Royce City, Terrell, Greenville. I mean, they're just from all over that region. Forney. We used to have some kids from Garland. They've aged out since, but that's the thing. Rowlett too. So that entire region, we have kids that come and run with us, and we're representing all of that. So we want to just do something to give back. And if we know something local that we can do, we'd be open to that as well. This just happened to be an international effort. So, and again, that's just something that for our community activity. For our uniforms, for returning Mustangs, we're going to change them up a little bit. And that's why I said they're going to be similar design, but different. But it's going to be a new design. We're going to try to have fittings the week of the 23rd and try to get as many people as possible fitted, and we'll know what your uniforms are, and then get that first order in so that we can have them by the end of April when we start actually going to meets. And then fan gear. This is one thing that we kind of struggled with because parents always say, we want to have t-shirts to wear to the meets. If anyone knows of a portal that all you have to do is set it up, that we can have our families order through, that would be great, because I've been trying to do it myself, and it's a lot of work. And then a lot of times I get all these shirts made and then nobody buys them. So I think if we try to do it in a way that you're actually going online and making the purchase before it's manufactured, that might be better. So, I know that there's a lot of different people in that they might have experience in doing that, because you have kids that are participating in all different kinds of sports. So be open to any suggestions on that. And then the last thing that we are planning to do, and we've tried this multiple times, but again, it's hard for one person. Our last workout that will be like the full crew is going to be May 28th. And so because of the district meet. And then after the district meet, the only kids that will continue to train will be the ones that advanced out of district. They're going to go to the regional meet. So it'll be the last time for our big group to be together. What I would like to do, and hopefully there's some parents that are interested, is have like a little group or a panel of event planners, and you all come up with some kind of event we can do as a group right at the end of the main season, and then the rest of the kids will continue to go on with the qualifier meets. But if we can try to figure out some type of group event that we can do to be our season ender, we would love to have some help with that. Have some volunteers to jump in on that. All right, so wow, 42 minutes. I actually did pretty good. I thought it was going to take me longer to get through all of that. What I'd like to do at this point is we can open up for questions. And I think a way just to keep everything flowing is if you can type it into the chat, and then we'll address it that way. Everybody have the chat button on the bottom of your screen. I think if you're on your phone, that you have to tap the screen and it'll show you options to do that. Okay, I'm closing that document and going back to just regular. Yes. Okay. So the question is, does the $300 fee include the uniform? I'm sorry, I didn't cover that. The $300 covers everything. It covers everything except entry into track meets. So that'll get your uniform. Last year we did a backpack, and the registration into AAU, that will also be included. So yes, it doesn't. That's a all in one. When you go to track meets, it's usually $3 to $5 to get in. So that'll be the only thing that you'll be paying out of pocket on the regular basis. And then of course, any additional t-shirts and stuff that we offer, then you will buy those things. But the 300 covers all the training, the uniform, and the entry fee. Yes, hurdles is an option. Coach Robert was not able to log in tonight, but he is our hurdles coach. So, and we have a crew of about, I think there's 5 hurdlers that have come on in the last few years. So yes, we do offer hurdles. Just on email and came late. Oh, okay. No problem. Um, this is going to be recorded. I'll be posting it on YouTube tomorrow, so you'll be able to watch everything that we covered. Um, and it starts on we start training on the 16th of March, so that's next Monday. Yes, practice locations are staying at Heath for now. One thing in regards to that, they are getting a new athletic director, and so my relationship that has given us that permission is the head track coach, Coach Contreras, and he said that everything should be fine, and he'll notify me as soon as possible if anything changes. But basically, I coordinate with him and say, is the track open today? Are we good? And he'll usually be able to tell me, pretty much the whole week, or he'll know, this day is not going to be good, that day is not going to be good, and then we'll know that we need to move around on those particular days. We do try to have relays. One thing that we run into is we don't have enough athletes in one age division to put a relay together. So that's what you have to be thinking about. If we might have two fast 10-year-olds, well, if we don't have two other ones, they can't run cross age divisions. So that's something that we have to consider. But yes, if we have enough athletes in one age division, we will put relays together. Uh, is there a minimum age for hurdles? Hurdles start at 12 years old for AAU. Any particular running shoes? Um, there's a video on the YouTube page already that discusses the different types of track spikes. There's sprint spikes and there's distance spikes, and that video is there. If you just go to YouTube, Rockwall Mustangs Track Club, you'll find it. Yes, the meets are optional. Um, like I mentioned, there are some athletes that never ever want to go to a track meet, and that's fine. We have football players; all they want to do is do speed work. That's fine. So no, you're not required to go to meets. Any questions I missed? All right. Any other questions? Okay. Meets in April. Yeah. So a lot of clubs will have what they call tune-up meets, and those will be the ones that'll be towards the end of April. It'll be like those last 2 weekends. Um, they haven't posted any yet that I've seen. There's a couple of different portals I have to go look for track meets. There's no one place where track meets are posted. You kind of have to look for them. There's a DFW Youth Track and Field group on Facebook. A lot of times the meets get posted there. So that's my main one, because usually somebody in that group will start making a list, and we kind of work off of that list. But there's always other meets. And again, the reason that I say we don't just go by the just whatever standard is posted is because you will find that there's some meets that are considered popular and marquee meets, and the meet will start at 8 a.m. and it'll finish at 7 p.m. And I don't think it's fair to the athletes. I don't think it's fair to the parents, and I don't think it's fair to the coaches to spend 12 hours at a track meet. I just don't. So if a certain weekend there's only one meet going on, and the 40 track and field teams that are in the DFW area all show up, and there's going to be 10,000 kids there, we probably won't be at that meet, because it's just crazy. It's absolutely nuts to be there all that time and try to get through all those events. So um, that's why we have to be flexible with what meet are we going to and where, so that we can honor everybody's time, because it's already going to be a long day. It is. But when we go to a well-run meet, we start out at 8 o'clock and we're usually out of there by 1 or 2 o'clock. That's not bad. It's not extremely hot usually by that time. But yeah, there will be some long days every now and then. Yeah, there'll be a 3 or 4 o'clock finish. But generally speaking, we're usually done around 1 or 2 o'clock, maybe three. Okay, let's see. Ages. So we take athletes 6 years old. Um, the official starting age for AAU is 8 years old. Now, when we go to circuit meets, that's what we call them, circuit meets. When we go to circuit meets, they will have the munchkins or whatever they have different names they call them, but that's going to be our little kids. And so they try to group them together, and they will run in their events together. They will do 50 meters, 100 meters, and sometimes 200 meters. When an athlete is that small, it's really tough to put them out there to run a 400 because if you know track and field, you know a 400 is a sprint, and littles just don't run that fast when they're 5 and 6 years old. We prefer to only take 6 years old. However, if a 5 year old is about to turn six, and I forgot to mention that the age divisions go based on the age they are in that calendar year. So if your athlete is 5 right now and they'll be 6 in December, they're considered a 6 year old. If your athlete is 9 right now and they'll be 10 in August, we consider them a 10-year old. So it goes by January 1st till December 31st on what age your child is considered. So we like to take 6 to 18 years old. Um, and for anybody that has a senior, that's one thing you have to remember is that even if they turn 18 or if they're turning 19, as long as I think it's oh man, I can't remember. It's there's a certain amount of time that they can still run, even if they're already 18, turning 19 this year. They can still compete. So just keep that in mind. And let's see. No,
I
we
think
don't have a
it's if
tryout for young kids.
birthday,
Go
it's
ahead.
sorry, the night. I think it's if their birthday is maybe right around or during Junior Olympics, as far as turning
Okay,
19.
that's what I thought.
Don't
Yeah.
quote me on that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes. So as long as they don't turn 19 before Junior Olympics, I think they're good. So if they're turning 19 in late August through the rest of the year, they can still compete. And we take everybody. We don't do a tryout and say yes or no, you can compete with the club. We're going to take anybody and try to make them a better version of themselves. Any other questions? How many meets will we have for um, almost every meet has throwing, unless, like I said, it's specific, and there's some meets that are only for throwers. But every meet that we go to, there should be throwing. So there's going to be probably 5 to 6 meets that we'll go to from April through when district starts in June. Any other questions? Yes, we do have long jump and triple jump. We are working on getting high jump. That's something that none of our coaches have experience in high jump, and so that's one of the things that's it's kind of holding us up because the progressions that you need to go through to take a developmental athlete, somebody that's 7, 8, 9 years old, and build them up into a high jumper versus a high school athlete that's been jumping for several years. There's a huge gap there, and so that's why we don't offer high jump yet, but we want to offer high jump if there's somebody that is interested in bringing their expertise to us or know somebody that is. Um, but we do offer long jump, triple jump. We don't offer pole vault. There are too many other clubs around here that have amazing pole vault coaches, and so we just recommend they go. We refer them to those teams. August 1st birthdays will compete as the age they are turning that year. Yes. Yes. Whatever age your athlete will be this calendar year from January 1st through December 31st, whatever age they turn this calendar year, that's the division they will compete in. Up to 15. In high school, 15 and 16, 17 and 18. It's a one age division. I mean, one 2 year age divisions. And I missed this one question. What about will they compete up? Yeah, so the in circuit meets, if you have a 9 year old and you want to run them with 10 and 11 year olds, I mean you can. Um, when it comes to district, they're going to run only in their age division. There's no running up. So that is a yeah, you can do that, but that's not. I won't say it's not recommended. It's just that's not who they're going to see. That's not who they've been competing against whenever they go to district. So it'll be an unknown quantity, is what I'm saying. Okay. No, we don't have a weightlifting facility, and that's kind of what I was mentioning about um, the youth athletes versus high school athletes. High school has been doing weight training and things like that already. If we did have a facility, I would try to incorporate some of that. But the thing about summer track is that again, the seasons overlap, and so I wouldn't try to take an athlete through a weight training regimen while they're already in season, and then there's not really enough time to build them from that training going into our season. Yeah, everybody practices the same number of days. It's Monday, Tuesday, Thursday. And again, we don't require attendance. So if you have a younger athlete and you would only prefer they do 2 days a week, that's fine. Monday and Thursday would be what I would recommend. Um, but yeah, Monday, Tuesday, Thursday are our regular training days. Your senior does how yes. And again, so I have some coaching experience um, with high jump, but I want to make sure that I'm beneficial to that athlete. So yes, an experienced high jumper can yes still come out and jump. Heath does give us access to all of their stuff, so yes, that's available. Most meets are $5. The qualifiers, I think they're usually about $10. So now, athlete entry fee is different from spectator entry fee. So when I'm talking about how much is it to get into a meet, spectators and athletes on most meets are $5 each, and then athlete entry is per event when they qualify. But for spectators, it's usually $10 for the qualifying meets. $10 per day. Any other questions? All right. Well, listen, I really appreciate your time. Whoops, one more came in. Yes, we're gonna try to schedule like a skills day, and it'll be like a mini track meet, and have kids come out and try different things, and maybe try out the field events, and we'll see what we feel like is something they can be good in. Now, with that said, once we're training, a couple of weeks in, we may decide or we may see, when we do our warm ups every day, this athlete is running the mile warm up like nothing, and don't freak out. We don't start out with a mile warm up, but that's what we work up to. So if we see something like that they just kind of jump in there and do it, then they may be more of a middle distance to a distance runner. So that's something that we're going to just kind of take notice of. I tweak my kids. I see they move their leg a weird way, and I go try to fix that. And you'll see. I mean, you can ask other parents that have already been with me. I pretty much I tweak something on every single athlete. That's just kind of the way I'm wound. I want them to use their body the right way, the way that it was meant to move, and try to be as efficient as possible. If I see that they're doing something extra with their arms that's unnecessary, that's slowing them down, then I'm going to point that out and try to get them to correct that. Yes, I will. I will finish getting the store set up tomorrow, and then it'll go live. So I will send out um, a notification when the store is open. All right. Well, like I said, I appreciate everybody joining. Taking the time to check us out, and I hope to see you come out. And always, like I said, reach out to me if you have any questions, just anything random you can think of. I'm pretty much open. You know, I don't know it all, but I try to answer as best as I can. But thank you for your time, and I look forward to meeting your athletes. Have a great night.